Hi, I'm Kamon Reynolds, and in this video we are going to show you in a detailed manner how to assemble the Jester EZ Nuc boxes. We're going to give you some close-up shots, and then at the end of assembling one of these, we're going to tell you why we chose to use these, some of the pros and some of the cons with using Jester EZ Nuc boxes. So let's get to assembly. Now first off, I'm going to point a couple things out so you know which way to have it facing. The newer ones have this little notch up here. This is the top part of the lid. You want that away from you. Also, we're going to flip this over really quick. You have the Jester EZ Nuc logo on the lid as well. That needs to be facing down onto the table. And then you're going to have this side over here facing towards you. Now, we're going to bring that up. We're going to bring the next one up. And we're going to take this back section here, and we are going to bring that on around. We're going to take these two side pieces here, bend that in. And then we are going to hold this, take these top parts, and bend them over. Now you can use your body like this to kind of hold this other section. This is probably the trickiest part of the whole setup. Now right here, between all of these flaps and everything, you have three sections. If you look through right here, you have to line those up in order to be able to continue. Now this piece down in here and the other one are going to have to be bent over and then put through the top part. And then you have this tab right here that can give you some fits if you don't bend it down. And you also have this tab here and this little tab here that need to be folded down. And once it's all together, it kind of puts more pressure on all that. So we're going to bend this down and crease it again. And I'm going to bring this up so you can see it better. I've got to push that in, and then I've got to make sure that it goes through all three again. Now, I'll move this out of the way. It's best not to bend this back. So you can see how it's missing this tab here. We need to get that in there. You just kind of push your hand and get it to line up, and just pull that up into there. So that's tucked in just nice. Now we're going to do the next side after we do this handle right here. Let's go ahead and do the handle over here. So we're just going to bend this down, get that crease there. And as we do that, we're going to fit it up into here, tucking it in. Trying to do this to where you can see it. Sorry about my big hands. All right, there we go. There you have the handle. Now, basically just doing the same side. Now, you don't want to have it like this. If you can see the corrugation, then you folded it wrong. This corrugated piece right here needs to always go on the inside, tucked underneath this one. It overlaps, same thing on this side here. Now, if you're having issues lining up these three, it's usually this middle one that's, you got three of them, so the one that's in between, you can push it up and line it up. And that worked out pretty good. So again, we have these tabs here. Fold down, bend that over, push it on through. Now we're home free. So we're going to do the same thing as we did the other side. Got that tucked in there. Get the handle bent. There's that side. Now let's do the lid. Alright, I like to have it away from me, so I'm going to get like this right here. You got your tabs here, multiple creases. Going to bend these in. Take that, fold it over again. You have these little bitty tabs here, and they pop up into that. You want to make sure that That kind of gets creased good. You'll have to bend it a little bit. And there's your lid. It's easier to keep it down if you kind of bend it back and then like that. So that wasn't too bad. Now I'm going to show you a couple things that'll help you speed your assembly up. You got your little entrance here. You just entrance up, out, and entrance closed. You have ventilation all around here. If it's really hot and you're transporting bees, you can cut this notch out and put a screen here and like tape it so you can get some more heat out of the nucleus colony. And you can also feed through this. That's the reason it's there primarily. So that wasn't so bad. Now, one of the things that you can do if you don't have a lot of hand strength is you can crease a lot of this stuff before you even start. Now, Laurel doesn't crease a whole lot, and I don't much myself. We've had multiple races. I keep losing. It's really frustrating because I think I've done more than she has. Maybe not now, but she does it, I think, a little under 1.5 minutes if we're racing. And I'm usually like 4 or 5 seconds behind her no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I grunt or try to mess up her concentration. So you can bend this beforehand. One thing that I don't like to bend too awful much, I don't want to bend this here because it's nice to have it when you push it in completely stiff when you're sliding it through those 3 pieces. And so it's nice to have that firm. You can bend this one and still get it through, but just if you pop that right there, a lot of times it makes it to where it wants to bend on you and it's hard to get it in there. This is one thing I like to do, is just bend that and bend that. So when you're bringing that on up here, it's really easy. You can pretty much pre-crease everything. The handles, you can pre-crease those. But it's like just anything else. The more you do it, the better you get. And when you first start out, you might want to crease a lot, and as you get more skill, you just don't crease as much. So let's assemble one really quick without a whole lot of creasing, just a little bit there. See how fast I can go. Laurel's gonna be like, that was slow. I hear your silent giggling over there. Alright. I pre-creased that right there and it bent on me just like I said it would. See how it started to bend like that? I can't hardly get it to go through. Best not to pre-crease that. There we go. Ah, come on, Kamon. That wasn't so bad. It's been a while too. So it's not too bad once you kind of get the hang of it, especially if you have kids that are starting to get to the age where you can get them to do this for food, like candy, that kind of stuff. Not like regular food. We still feed our kids, I promise. But what are the pros and cons? What are the pros and cons of using these? So first off, they're a little bit less expensive than some of the other models out on the market. One of the pros is that they're extremely lightweight. Another one is they're very cool compared to some of them. One of the things that I've heard a lot about the plastic looking nukes that are out there is that they get very hot, which stands to reason. Plastic, especially solid plastic, gets hot. I mean, if you stick out a Tupperware outside or anything like that, it's going to build up a lot of heat in there. This, because it has so many air channels through it, because it's corrugated plastic, it stays very cool. The problem with that is if it's a cool part of the year, then this is not going to help keep your hive warm at all. But it's got a good bit of ventilation. One of the nice things about them is that they're very durable. That actually worked better than I thought. And we throw those around constantly, chuck them up to the end of the truck, chuck them down. Not with bees in them, but when they're empty. They're just very easy to throw long distances, so there's They can take strapping pretty well, so that's really nice. I can get them at a pretty reasonable price. Laurel and I, between the two of us, can assemble these things like crazy. You know, a lot of times we'll do it in the living room while we're watching some TV, so we can, you know, after so many of these, you know, it gets a little boring. But some of the cons with them is the fact, again, that they get cool pretty easily. You know, you can find some that are cheaper. A lot of people ask me about the Man Lake version that's the wax cardboard, and they just don't last as long. I mean, these things will last 3 or 4 years. UV is one of the roughest things on anything, and it wears them out after a while, and the creases eventually will get to where they get brittle and they break. And sometimes the bees over time will plug up the holes, especially in the cooler part of the season. Another one of the cons is the fact that it can bow a little bit after a while, and so, you know, this will sag in maybe, and that'll sag in, and it'll make things a little bit tight in a couple places. But sometimes it bows out. But it's very flexible, so if you're getting into it, you always start over on this frame. You just bend down and just pull that frame out. So I think overall, they're a quality purchase. I've never thought that, man, I really think there's got to be a better way to do this. I've been really pleased with these things. Probably the assembly of these things is one of the cons as well, having to do that. There are some now quicker options out there, but again, watch the heat. I like to keep these things in the shade during the summertime, even though these things stay pretty cool. So lots of pros and cons to everything. There's no such thing as a perfect piece of bee equipment that I've ever found, but we still keep looking. We still keep, us beekeepers still keep trying to invent, and a lot of times we just reinvent the wheel. But overall, I've been very satisfied with these over the years, and they can last a really long time, and they're awesome for shaking swarms into and transporting them. I mean, shoot, you can even use this to harvest honey. It's very lightweight, but it can still hold deep frames of honey. So if if you have back problems or something, mediums, deeps, whatever, get the bees off with a bee brush or however you do it, stick them down in here, and now you're able to keep that close to your core of your body, and not hurt yourself, not hurt that back, because that's one thing beekeepers do all the time is wear their backs out. Anyways, if you have any comments or questions about the Jester EZ Nuc box, leave them below. And thanks for watching this video.